Okay, so there are so many things that is happening, change that is happening around us today, and the world itself is constantly changing. And as we are speaking now, as we are sharing this time, do you know anybody can tell me what's the world's population right now in this minute? Anybody? you know, do you know the world's population right now as we speak stands at nearly 7.8 billion people? 7.8 billion people. I did a bit of a search to find out uh, when I was born, okay, many moons ago, what was the world's population when I was born in the year 1962. I was born in 1962. That makes me about 34 years of age today. So wonderful age. My wife is smiling at me. She's thinking, oh yeah. And when I was born, the world's population was 3,039,000,000 people. Okay, in the year 1962. And now, today, the world's population is sitting at nearly 7.8 billion people. Incredible. Just look at the changes that's happening. And like I said, as we are sharing right now as we are speaking, the amount of births that is happening today is sitting at 325,676 going up. The amount of birth that is happening right now, sitting at 325,000. The amount of death today, right now, is about 136,000 people. But the amount of birth is definitely more than the amount of death. You know, how incredible. Our world is changing at such a rapid rate. And you and I, as we are obviously living during this time of what is going on in the world, can I encourage you to take a note that with all the change that is happening around us, we need to embrace what is going on at the moment. Every day in your life and in my life, there are things that is happening. There are things that are changing. Some of them it's beyond our control. Okay, like I was saying on the weekend, the message that I shared, to embrace the unfamiliar. Some of these things are really beyond your control and my control. Okay, I've asked Feb to just put some slides up for me while I share. So when we talk about embracing the unfamiliar, that means we are actually embracing change. Okay, so we are embracing change. And when you embrace change, you got to understand that everything that you and I do today will happen as we progress on in life. So the unfamiliar, like I said on the weekend, even going to a restaurant now is a little bit different. Okay, you got to keep the social distancing thing. You got to be able to, you want to eat, but how long are you allowed to be in the restaurant is a whole different question. Okay, you might be only there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Back in obviously the days before COVID-19, you can sit there for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, going out to the movies, going to the gym. Oh, so many things that's gonna be so different. So many things that's gonna be like, I can't control this thing anymore. I think if I'm not wrong, at the moment we are on the restrictions where we can have 20 people gather, hopefully. by the end of June, early July, I think we'll be allowed to have 50 people gathering together again. And that's where I think for us, obviously, we will be looking at resuming our services. Okay. But at the moment, all these things that are happening, what do you and I need to do? We need to embrace these changes. Okay. The next thing, please. Thank you, Fabian. There are things that we need to understand, that everything is in a constant state of change. All right. So we must accept the inevitable, that nothing in our lives will remain the same. You have to accept that, and I have to accept it. Okay. And change is not change unless something changes. I had someone in the church say to me, this is a month or 2 months ago, said, "Oh, Pastor Ray, I really want to change. I really want to change, but I'm stuck. I can't get out of this thing. You know, I'm stuck in this habit, or I'm stuck in this thing that I'm doing. I just can't get out." So when this person said to me, next Sunday, hopefully I'm going to be different. Okay. But then the following Sunday, the person comes in and still the same, you know? So really, change is not change unless something changes. Okay. So in our lives, same thing with your life and my life, you know, we can be talking about change, especially change that relates to us as an individual, you know, in our relationship with God. How are we changing? In what aspect of our relationship that the change in us is evident to those around us, that they can see that, hey, there's something different in this person. From the last week that I saw this person to this week, something has changed. Have you ever heard that saying before? There's something different about this person. You know, something has changed. And we must accept, like I said, the inevitable, that nothing in our lives will remain the same. And I shared on Sunday that God doesn't want us to remain the same. He wants us to move from what? Glory to glory. From strength to strength. A little here and a little there. So our lives are meant to get better and betterer. Okay? Better and better and better. That's God's heart and God's plan for us. Next, please. Okay. There are 4 types of change, okay, that all of us will encounter. Number 1, the change that happens around us. So most of us would be familiar with that when we see all the changes that is happening around us today, all the stuff that is going on. Okay, you know the situation where you are, where you work, where you live, where you shop, okay, and where you eat. So all those things are the change, the 4 types of change. Change that happens around us. Number 2, the change that happens to us. These are the things that is happening to us right now, you know, in our work situation, in our family, okay, in our environment. These are the things that have happened to us, the changes that we can't control. And then what about the change that happens within us? See, every one of us respond or react to change differently. Some people would get really upset when a certain change happens. Okay, where some people go, "Oh, thank God that thing has changed," or "Thank God that this has happened, so that it actually propels me and you as a person to move forward." Okay, certain things will happen in a sense, like for obviously Jermaine and Amanda. in the next few months, when their term in Australia finish here, then there are things are going to happen in the church that would bring change. And your lives as well as an individual is going to be changing. And then you're heading back to Singapore, the land flowing with milk and money. And then you'll be going, oh God, what are we going to do now when I come back to Singapore? What am I going to be embracing? You see? So all this change is going to happen within you and within me that we got to get used to, because it is going to happen. Okay? And we need to be prepared. Okay? And then number four, the fourth type of change is the change that we make happen. Okay? Some people can be what I call victims of change. So they because of the change that happened, they can't control it. So what happens, they can either be a victim or they can be a victor. So if they are a victim, they just go, oh, poor me, this is it, this is what happened to me. I'm not going to be able to forgive myself, or somebody has hurt me. I don't have the ability or the opportunity to forgive them. But there are certain changes in our lives that we make happen. Okay, just like when Jenny and I, the Lord laid upon our heart to come to Australia. So we could have gone back to New Zealand quite easily, really. Okay, because we've lived there. I've lived there for 10 years, and obviously Jenny is from New Zealand. She's lived there all her life, but we have easily could have gone back to New Zealand after our experience in Singapore for 2 years. But when the Lord spoke to our hearts to come to Melbourne, Australia, so we follow that prompting and make that change happen. You see, so we came, and then I think we were meant to be here for 1 year, but that 1 year turns out to be many, many years, and who knows how many more years to come. You see, as long as the Lord wants us here. But you and I, there's certain changes that we make happen in our lives. Let me encourage you. Is it the people who adapt to change, or the people who make the most of the changes that are happening around them are the people who I believe God will take us to the next level. Okay? So we don't become victims of change that we just sit back and do nothing. See? We don't just say, okay, this is happening around us now. There's nothing else we can do, so we might as well just go with the flow and don't do anything. See? Whereas if we are proactive, so what we can become, what you and I can become, we can become what they call world changers. See that? So we make the opportunity, the most of that opportunity to bring about change in our own environment. Okay? So in a sense that, this is what's happening. We can't go out, to go door and door knocking or whatever, so what do? Now we try and make the most of technology around us, you see, and we use obviously Zoom. By the way, did you guys realize, I think I said this, the creator or the founder of Zoom, man, the guy took the opportunity, didn't he? He created this thing, man. In the last few months, he made about $3 billion. Can you imagine that? In just a few months, because nearly the whole world is using Zoom. Most of the people, and this guy, obviously, incredible, took the opportunity, created something, some sort of innovation that has propelled his company obviously to a whole new level. So there are people that are world changers. There are people that would make the most of every opportunity that surrounds them. Okay, so like I said, you can see the change that is happening around us today, and you can see change that happens to each one of us during this time. Some people got, obviously due to lockdown, they are so bored, don't know what they're doing, don't know what to do. Okay, and then there are some people who obviously going through this whole COVID-19 thing inside them. They're thinking, oh God, things are brewing. Um, I've seen some, and I've heard some people that are going, well, since I'm locked at home now, I might as well be more creative. Have you heard those news? You know, people that are coming up with ideas of how to uh, advertise their material online or do whatever they're doing to generate income and businesses. And then these are the people that make change happen. See? So same for you and I during this time. Have a look. What happens to each one of us during this time of the unfamiliar things that is going on? Okay, one more slide. The greatest tragedies, okay, in life, I put down here, is a small percentage or response. Oh, this screen is so big. Can we make it a bit smaller, Fabian? I'm just trying to see that word there. Okay. All right. So the greatest strategies in life is a small percentage response to change, okay, effectively. So only a small percentage of people will respond to change effectively, because a lot of people don't handle change in a good way. You see, because change is uncomfortable, change is unfamiliar, correct? Change is different. And for you and I, let's take the opportunity today. Whatever that is happening in our world today, pray, ask God to give us wisdom. Let's be bold and let's embrace the next season of what is going on in our world. Okay, as the restrictions obviously begin to scale down gradually, let's really pray and ask God, God, what is the next season? Let us embrace that. Give us the wisdom. Give us the boldness. Let us not be afraid to step out. Let us not be afraid to take some risk. Let us not be afraid to go where you're calling us to go. Because if you are bold and when you are willing to step up, what follows next is the fulfillment of potential. Okay? Because you and I are filled with potential, but it's the fulfillment of the potential. And God, I believe, wants us to rise up to the next level so that as we look ahead in the next month and the months to come, we're going to believe God to really take us now from glory to glory, strength to strength, as we see the opportunities that is presenting itself before us. Every one of us, in your situation, in my situation, okay, there are these opportunities that God will bring to us. And let's really grab a hold of that. Let's be bold. Let's not be afraid. Okay? Let's not be timid, but rather we say, God, thank you. This is coming our way. We're going to grab a hold of it and we're going to respond to this change, because there are many things about change which I will share obviously as we progress further in our messages and also in the midweek devotional. I want to just really want to encourage each one of you. Okay, so let's be world changers. Okay, let's really go for what God wants us to do. Let's not be afraid to step out into the unknown. Okay, because when we take a hold of change, there are obviously results. There are things that will happen as we step out. Can we say amen? Okay.